It's time for today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams, ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
It was a quick first appearance for the father and son, both facing murder charges. Now, moments ago, the DA of Barrow County just stepped out and addressed the media, sharing that Colt Gray will face additional charges because the day of the shooting on Wednesday, they were not able to assess the conditions of the injured victims. The DA said that once those victims are healed, the court will bring those additional charges. Now, I do want to bring you into the courtroom this morning. It was full of the victims' friends and family. Judge Mingledorf addressed the teenage shooter directly, telling him that he faces not only life in prison, but the death penalty. Now, minutes after the hearing was finished, Colt Gray was brought back into the courtroom for a correction by the judge, stating he would not face the death penalty. Now, although the teen is being tried as an adult, the U.S. Supreme Court banned death penalties for juveniles back in 2005. Now, Colt did remain composed during the hearing, unlike his father, 54-year-old Colin Gray, visibly distressed, rocking back and forth, and appeared to be even crying during the extent of his hearing. He is facing involuntary manslaughter, second-degree murder, and cruelty to children. These are the most severe charges ever filed over an alleged school shooter. The judge broke down those possible sentencing for Gray's charges.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
You know, Quanell, I applaud the state of Georgia for responding appropriately and directing blame where it should be initially at the father who armed the son. Apparently he made what would be called a straw man purchase of an assault rifle, I think it was a Bushmaster, and gave it to his son as a Christmas or a birthday gift after, allegedly, the FBI had contacted him about disturbing, threatening posts that the son had made. There is other information that's come out that the son had been on Discord or other social media platforms talking about his outrage over the treatment of homosexuals in America. There's also allegations that his threat to the school specifically and other campuses, but specifically said he would start with the school, was known to law enforcement, and they didn't do anything. So I do think we're going to see some criticism, some appropriate criticism of the public safety officers there. But we also know, because of on-site law enforcement who stopped the situation, that it could have been much, much worse. So there's all these things we could talk about, but what America seems to always want to talk about, instead of how do we make these schools safer, how do we make them harder targets, how do we make sure that our children are safe, how do we have more responsibility for parents that don't take the appropriate actions to prevent access from clearly mentally disturbed kids from schools, how do we start having a real conversation of that it is not violence to misgender someone. It's not violence to morally disagree with homosexuality. Violence is violence. And we've had, we had the Nashville shooting. We've had a whole slew of shooting that has been tied to, if you look at certain manifestos, been tied to people that feel aggrieved because people don't agree with their concept of morality. Like you and I disagree. I think you're homophobic. You think I'm too tolerant and a liberal on the issue. But at the end of the day, I think we both agree that it's not violence to misgender someone. You're not violent if you disagree with the moral correctness of homosexuality. And what we shouldn't be talking about is why we need to take guns away from law-abiding citizens, especially when you have people like Kamala Harris, who has said she wants to remove police from schools. We need more police at schools. We need a harder target. We just don't need police arresting kids for fistfights and marijuana and nonsense. They need to be only there to keep kids safe. And damn it, we need to have real changes. But a big good start for Georgia. Let's put the dad in prison.
Charles, let me first start by saying that, one, I am not homophobic. That could not be further from the truth of the devil is from God. And if I'm homophobic, then you have a head full of hair. My problem with this case is that this shooter, for whatever his grievance was, did not have a right to go and kill innocent human beings. But these mass shooters, no matter where it is, anywhere in this country, they're targeting soft targets. They know that the schools that our children attend are soft targets. And I'm so sick and tired of these weak, punctified cowards that like to target soft targets. If he was so tough, why didn't you go to the police department and shoot the police department up? If he was so tough, why didn't you go to the hood, the real hood, and jump out with your gun and start shooting? Because you know we'd shoot your rusty ass back. That's what they know. I'm sick and tired of these cowards, man, going at our kids in schools because they know that they're soft targets. I really would like to see every school in America increase police security, make it mandatory to have at least 2 cops on duty the entire school day and school time. Also, we have the money to pay for it. I would like to see more teachers pass courses and become licensed and qualified to carry weapons on campus. If more of these punks knew that if I go to that school, they got cops there and they got teachers that's packing and strapped, I guarantee you a lot of these cowards will stop shooting up our schools. We got to stop allowing our schools to be soft targets. Now, in regards to this shooter also, it's weird to me how these little killers, often when they quote unquote give up, they're allowed to give up. But brothers who get pulled over in traffic stops can't never give up without coming up dead when they're dealing with law enforcement.
That's absolutely not true.
It's funny to me
That's
how
absolutely
this
not
little
true.
pretty shooter could just shoot everybody up and then just surrender and give up. Had that been a young black man shooting up a school, he would have been shot on sight and murdered on sight by law enforcement, and it would have been called justifiable homicide. Now let me talk to the shooter. Look, little boy, if it's true that you were angry that they were making fun of you about being gay at school, so you got so angry that you wanted to get a gun and go to the school and shoot innocent people. Your daddy was silly for buying you a gun after the feds told him your son is crazy as hell with these online threats. Why would you turn around and buy him a gun? But to the shooter, look here, little boy, you're on your way to the penitentiary now. And so if you think with your nice, pretty, long blonde hair that you're not going to have some gay issues when you hit the penitentiary, let me tell you something. What they going to do to you in prison going to make what them classmates did look like child's play.
Well, I mean, I'm far more concerned, right? The fact that both the local authorities that apparently visited the father multiple times, right, or visited the family multiple times prior to this shooting, they expressed before the incident that he was a person of interest for his statements, right? They were aware. And why, when then they also get a credible threat made specifically to that school, why weren't steps taken? Why wasn't there more effort? Why do we as Americans not care more about our kids? Because instead what we've heard from the left is the immediate refrain of we've got to take guns from law-abiding, rule-following citizens. The same left that wants to defund the police, the same left Kamala Harris very publicly stated in the last election cycle she wanted to remove police from schools. And of course,
I think that's one of the worst ideas ever if she truly believes that. What we want to remove is over-aggressive cops that are doing too much on campus.
Can I finish
but
my
what
thought?
we don't want to remove is cops from these schools when these mass shooters realize our schools are soft targets.
Right, but here's the thing. The right, however, all they're responding with is this obstructionism to any sort of gun reform at all. Of course, I don't think gun reform is taking guns from the law-abiding. I think we need to make more effort. But you also have the narrative of the left, and like your narrative, well, if a black man killed people, he'd be shot and executed on sight. When you look at the number of black males in prison for murder, that conflicts with your narrative,
We're
right?
talking about encounters with law enforcement.
But here's the thing, what you're talking...
We're not talking about other criminal acts.
Okay, no, I'm talking about murders, caught red-handed.
You want to mix apples and artichokes.
No, you're the one mixing apples and artichokes instead of talking about the situation at hand. And the situation at hand shouldn't be you using it as a platform for new bigotry or the left using it as a platform to take on for mandatory gun buyback.
Let's start arming the teachers.
No, let's have cops who don't hassle kids for nonsense.
I agree with you on that.
And their only damn job
let's arm
is
teachers.
to run the metal detectors.
Think about
and
this.
make sure the schools are safe.
Think about this. Let's say if the mass
We spend too much damn money on security for school for this nonsense.
He at home, and he's thinking to himself, I'm going to get me a gun and go back to school and shoot everybody. Well then, how about the teachers make a rap video? I like to see teachers make a rap video.
See,
And they
this
all,
is just
let me
silly.
finish. No,
This is silly.
No, let the teachers make a rap video who've passed the classes, who've got the license, who have the qualifications, and make a rap video saying, look here, you come up here, want to kill our children? Click, click, I'm strapped in math class. Click, click, I'm the science teacher. Click, click, I'm the PE coach. If you come up here to kill our kids, look here, it's on and popping, baby. Click, click. And I guarantee you, a lot of those mass shooters would stay the hell away from our schools. We got rap videos for all other kind of crazy shit. Why don't we have a rap video that's sending a message to those mass murderers? If you show up at our schools, our teachers are ready with click, click.
Okay, that was nice. I don't think it'll have the impact you suggest, but the truth is, what we need people is doing the math. Why don't people go do mass shootings at the White House? Why don't people go
Because the White House is not a soft target.
Can I finish? Why do we not, people not go do mass shootings at any number of things, right? Or they go to a prison, do a mass shooting. Why are our prisons safer from shootings than our schools? Right? No one has a gun in prison. Now, there's plenty of violence. We should make our prisons safer. But no one's going to. Why do we care more about a bank than we care about our kids in school?
A lot of them cats in prison know how to dodge them bullets.
Okay.
A lot of them cats
no
in prison,
guns.
I mean, they like the Matrix when you shoot at them. When you cat in prison, you shoot at him, me like the Matrix, man.
Okay. You could make.
So look here.
You could make it
they
as
ain't
difficult
playing
to
with them
get a
penitentiary
gun
convicts like
into
that.
a high school as you could a prison, but we don't want to spend the money. We don't think our kids are worth it, and it's despicable. And the left just wants to use it as a reason.
We can save money if it's a money issue by arming the teachers. Remember, shooter, show up in my child's school, it may be
But
click.
why should a teacher be obligated to do that? Why shouldn't we have law enforcement? Because we got plenty of lazy-ass law enforcement sitting around not doing anything. We can put them to work.
I guarantee you, if they arm you all, some of y'all will stop getting your butt kicks at work also. Getting your eyes put out, getting concussions, getting your limbs broke, getting beat unconscious if they know the teacher going click, click.
To possess a weapon.
Two law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation tell NBC News that Colt Gray gave his son an AR-15 style rifle as a gift after they were interviewed by authorities last year, following several anonymous tips that Colt made threats online.
I don't know anything about him saying like that, and I'm gonna be mad as hell if he did. And then all the guns will go away, and they won't be accessible to him.
He said he was shocked by the suggestion his son was making threats.
Like, it's no joke.
But we wouldn't be here if it was.
No, I know, and I'm telling you right now, we talk about it quite a bit. All the school shootings, things that happen.
Yeah, scary.
Are you getting picked on at school? He is. He's getting picked on at school, and is everything okay? That's why I keep going up there.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
That was a recorded conversation back in 2023 where law enforcement officers had a conversation with the shooting suspect's dad about his son making online threats. And he was talking even back then in 2023 about committing a mass shooting. And when you listen to the response to the questions and the comments by the dad, he seems to be a very confused individual, the father himself, to talk about all these mass shootings with your son like you say that you did. And so they talk about these mass shootings quite a bit. For the police to warn you about your son, tell you what he's doing, tell you how serious it is, and then you turn right around as a birthday gift after that meeting, after that conversation, after that explicit, detailed warning about your son's mindset, and buy him a Bushmaster, buy him a gun? That's crazy as hell. It almost makes me wonder, did the father know that this boy was up to planning this?
You know, I haven't seen any evidence that suggests that. There is some damning statements by the mom on Facebook. She was arrested a few times over the last few years for pretty serious things. But she made some damning social media statements about the dad's behavior. And there is, of course, an outpouring, it seems like, in the media of poor Colt, right? Like, he was bullied, his dad was bad, his mom was a criminal. I don't care about any of it. Right? I mean, I think there should be consequences for the dad, but none of it mitigates for me my position on him for murdering innocent people, right? It seems like there's this outpouring of empathy. I know you like to bring up Dylan Roof, but we never saw that with Dylan Roof. We never saw like all this outpouring on media platforms. We have seen it in other scenarios, right, where they'll take a picture of a kid that did something horrible and take like an 8th grade graduation photo or all kind of nonsense. Or if someone has been killed by an officer in the line of duty while doing something horrible, they try to paint this false portrait, and it crosses racial lines, right? But it's the rationalizations in the media that are talking about how bad the dad was and how he was bullied. It almost seems like they're tacitly making an argument for mitigation of the consequence of his actions. He still got off his butt
But why do
and
they
chose to go
only
kill
do
a
it
bunch of people.
for white
They
teens?
don't. That's a lie.
No,
I
let
knew
me
you were
break
gonna
it down.
say it. You're
Let me break
lying.
it down. Show me one black teen that has committed a mass murder where white media turn around and talk about, oh, he's had a bad family life. He
That
had a
happens all
criminal
the
mother.
time.
He had a bad father. And he had a poor upbringing. White folks don't give a damn about
This
how
is
bad
not
of an
true.
upbringing a
This
black
is not
kid
true.
had that commits a mass
This is
murder. I
absolutely not
assure you,
true.
there will be no media empathy or sympathy for a black kid who's charged with the same thing because he had a bad, tough upbringing.
We had the African-American kid that stomped the teacher because she took his Nintendo away, and we had to listen to
And what they do to him?
Oh, he went to prison.
They stuck him in
But
prison.
hold on,
Wasn't
hold
no
on,
media
hold on.
empathy.
Oh,
Wasn't no media
there was
sympathy.
tons of it.
They stuck him
There
in
was
prison.
tons of
And
it
they got rid of
talking
him.
about his
Even though they knew
autism
that boy
and his
was mentally,
disability.
quote unquote,
No.
handicapped
That kid
in
was
a
a
severe
monster.
mental health
Not
case.
as bad a monster as this kid, but it was a monster. And what we need to do is stop
they
trying
put him in the
we need to-
penitentiary.
well, this kid needs to go in the penitentiary too.
Wasn't no media sympathy for no little black boy like that.
Yeah, look, I'm tired
A
of the
mass
bleeding
killer.
hearts talking about these people doing
His
horrible things.
upbringing.
You know, oh, poor thing. No, ain't none poor.
In today's Face Off Up.
You know, Cornell, I was disagreeing with the last segment, but our face-off F-up of the day supports an argument that at least in some places in Georgia, there is still bias operating in the newsrooms. We got WSB TV. It's a real news station there in Atlanta. They had a post, if we could see that, of the incident. And it was a 14-year-old suspect, Colt Gray, was arrested. Now, the problem is with the post, I don't know about you, but that doesn't look much like long blonde, bleach blonde hair, very plucked eyebrows, white boy, Colt Gray. In fact, I would, if I had $1 million, I would put it down at 10-to-1 odds that kid's name isn't even Colt, right? That's an African-American kid that somebody in a news office said, oh, hey, let's just take some picture of some random kid, some random black kid, and put him up as the mass shooter. Absolutely disgusting. I don't know the race of the person that did it, but it feels like a bit racist. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Let me first say that it is terribly unfortunate. It's hurtful, it's painful, it's psychologically damaging to do this young man like this and his family. But I want to say to his family, you've gotten your heartfelt apology. Now it's time for you to get your check. They need to file a civil lawsuit for defamation and slander, emotional distress, and any other damn distress you can come up with, and make sure that this station give you a real good Christmas. Make sure this young, handsome, beautiful young black brother who was called a mass murderer and killer and hadn't done anything, make sure that news station give him a real good Christmas.
Well,
Get you a lawyer, file a lawsuit, and get you some cash money, honey.
Well, the possibility exists that maybe if this was taken from another news story, I think they most certainly will have some civil liability in Georgia. However, if this was just some stock photo where someone took a picture and signed away their rights to the photo, because we've seen it before, we've seen it in the racial flip-flop before. We had an older African-American kid beat up like a 9-year-old girl on the bus, and then it got a lot of media attention, and the media was using the picture of a white kid with their fists all balled up like they were going to punch somebody instead of the African-American older kid, I think it was 14, that beat up the little male, beat up the little girl. But the thing is, it's always narrative pushing, right? And sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's unintentional. And what we need to explore is, did someone just click the wrong button and use the wrong GIF?
I don't care what the excuse is. If it was intentional, it just shows further malice. But even if it was an accident, you still took this young boy and called him a mass murderer. Okay. And they can apologize, but they can't forever take it down.
Okay, so what
that's been put out there on social media.
It was a tweet, not a broadcast, about Appalachia High School shooting.
Tweets the same thing.
I got you by WSB TV. The content and the photo of one of the victims was on it. That was a victim. That was the guy he killed.
Oh my God, victim.
Think about the pain.
So victim.
Somebody saw a black kid and just assumed he was the shooter. That guy. Hey, you know what?
Racist white person.
I will call. I don't know what
some
race.
Racist
but
white
I'm gonna call out racism when I see it.
Some racist white person in the newsroom.
If it was a white dude
in the newsroom,
if it was a white dude that made that decision and just saw all the pictures and said, "Oh well, it's got to be the black kid that was killed."
Now that we got some clarity that this was one of the victims.
Yeah.
His family need to make sure that news station just don't give you a good Christmas, that you get the next 30 Christmases as a good Christmas.
Well,
sue the hell out these people.
And more importantly,
sue the hell out these people.
More importantly, if you're doing this right after it happened, like in this incident, the possibility exists that not all the family members knew that he had been executed by this monster.
Exactly.
And it's just...
And they learn like this.
Yeah, it's just disgusting. And that is why WSB TV is our face-off F-up of the day. They need to tighten up in the newsroom. Somebody should lose their damn job.
And to grandmama, granddaddy, aunts, uncles, and cousins of this victim, I think you got a claim too. Yeah, he was damaged too.
Call 1-800-QUAD-LX, huh?
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.